is coming that threatens our kingdom, our freedom. But we have a weapon.
Alright, so I usually don't watch videos like that, movies like that, but for this one, since it's based on West Africa, and I actually did a video about this country, so it's the Kingdom of Dahomey, but which is current day Benin Republic. I did a video about its economic status on my main channel, Yoruba. So if you're not familiar with my main channel, there's going to be a link in this video's description. But I just want to do a bare bones review on the movie. And I'm not going to give away any spoilers. I'm not going to kind of tell you what the movie is about. What you see from the trailer is pretty much, it gives you all you need. So I'm just going to be very as objective as possible so that you can decide if you're going to watch it or not. So I will say overall, the movie was a lot better than what I was expecting just from the scenes and the trailers that I was seeing. I was kind of thinking it was going to go a certain type of way. But it didn't, so it was enjoyable. I usually don't watch movies twice, so I wouldn't watch it again. But it was entertaining, I'll just say that. So I'm just going to go through several points of the movie. And like I said, I'm trying to be as objective and unbiased as possible. So I'm going to just go ahead and start. So if you don't know about the history of the region, so the Kingdom of Dahomey is a small group of people. Like I did a video on this on my main channel once again, so you can go ahead and click to see at least what the area is about. But they were heavily involved in the slave trade. They did a lot of slave trading. I don't want to get too much involved, but that's basically what it was. They warred with other African tribes, especially the Oyo Kingdom or Yoruba people. So that's about it. When I did the original video, I didn't really see too much to go off of. I was really also looking at the economic status of it, but the whole movie is based on these warrior soldiers in the Kingdom of Dahomey. So the Kingdom of Dahomey, a lot of the men were being captured into slavery, they were being killed off. So the king needed more soldiers, so he started incorporating women to fight alongside with the men. So it wasn't like it was just an all-female army. No, they were going along with the men. So the men and the women both were fighting together, and that's basically what it was. It wasn't they call them the king's wives. That's what the name means. I forgot the exact name of it, but basically it's just the story of the women that were part of the battles. And even the French and the Europeans, when it came down, they noticed how brave and how skilled they were when it came to hand-to-hand combat. But I mean, overall, it wasn't like it was just a whole female army just wiping out everyone. I mean, when you go against, well, the Europeans had guns and stuff like that. But that's a little bit of the history. Of course, you could go to my main channel, Yoruba, and at least look at that description. I go a little bit more in depth, but it's really talking about the economics as well. So that's a little bit of the history of it. So I'm going to start with the performance. So overall, the acting was pretty good. I didn't cringe necessarily in any of the scenes. It was pretty much straightforward, get to the point. There were some slow scenes for my own personal taste, but for the most part, it wasn't too crazy. So the acting didn't seem forced. It didn't seem inauthentic or anything like that. It was pretty good. As far as the plot, so I had to remove. So when it comes to the history, I had to not think so much about the history. This is a movie. It's about entertaining, so I can't. I mean, usually movies are not accurate to that point. So I just try to remove a lot of the history points, and I just try to focus on what they're showing me. And the plot, for the most part, it was pretty good. It wasn't so cheap. It wasn't so basic, and it was a nice twist in the middle of the movie. So that was interesting. That caught me by surprise. So that was pretty good. But the plot was still it was fine. I mean, it's based on historical evidence. Most of it, just the idea of it. So that's always there, and then they added their own little twist to it and added some other stuff to it. So it was cool. If you're not thinking about the history of what actually happened, I mean, it was fine. The cinematography of it. So I mean, nothing really stood out like that, but I mean, it was decent. The shots was clean. It wasn't too much going on. There wasn't like a whole bunch of sci-fi where it's just like, you know, if you tap someone just a little bit, then they fly all over the place. It wasn't like that. So it was, for the most part, reasonable. There was a lot of fight scenes, and the fight scenes looked pretty realistic. So they did a good job on that. But as far as just the environment, the scenery, there were some shots where you see a lot the armies and the slave trading ports and stuff like that. That was interesting. But as far as anything that was very spectacular, like a Black Panther moment, no, it wasn't like that. It was just basic. Like it was fine. It was cool. As far as the soundtrack, none of the songs really stood out to me. I don't remember them really playing any songs like that. So like the Black Panther, you know, they had a whole bunch of different songs and changed the mood and stuff like that. That was very noticeable to me. But for this video, or for this movie, I didn't really notice the soundtrack like that. So the music that they did put in at least fit the parts, because I'm not really thinking about something that was off. So the music selection that they did have in there, it actually matched what was going on in every scene. So it wasn't over the top or anything like that. The ending was pretty good. If I had to rate it A, B, C, D, E, I will probably rate it. What do I give the ending? I'll probably give it like a B minus. Like, it was nothing spectacular. You kind of expected it. There was no cliffhanger or anything like that. Maybe C plus, B minus, C plus. Like, it was fine. It was alright. Like the whole video, it wasn't like really captivating like that. It was entertaining, but it wasn't like it was the best. So that's how the ending was. As far as the actors did a good job. Viola Davis did her thing. She was believable, and you know, she cries in every scene or every movie, it seems like. So she did have some crying scenes, but it was fine. It was she did what she always does, so that was cool. The other actors, the supporting actors, were actually really good. No issues with them. It was believable, their character. So I like that a lot. They didn't seem like amateurs doing this, even though I never seen any of them. They didn't seem like amateurs. And the king, he's actually Nigerian. So some of his mannerisms, I was picking up on it. I was like, this thing's really similar to Nigerian. So that was nice to see. Okay, he's actually Nigerian. That's why he was able. It was just second nature. I was like, okay, now it makes sense. As far as like any highlights and from the movie, nothing really stood out to me as really great, amazing. Like I really thought about it. I couldn't think about it. There was a miss that I did notice in the beginning when I was just like, wow, that wasn't that. You didn't have to put that in there. And I'll just say this, because I don't want to give anything away. West Africans are very conservative. So I'll just put that out there. So that was one miss that was just like, come on, like, it was so unnecessary. The accents, for the most part, they didn't seem forced. They didn't seem odd. They didn't seem weird. They didn't seem like, the accents was actually pretty on point. And a lot of them weren't, I mean, they weren't African or West African. So I was surprised that the accents, it didn't make me cringe. Because I've seen, especially in, it was the Coming to America, the second one, their accents was horrible. It just sucked. Sometimes they sounded like they was from East Africa. But the accents in this movie was actually in line. It was like, okay, cool. They're doing what, they actually took time to practice or whatever. So I was cool with that. There was no special effects or anything like that. And the costumes, what they were wearing, it was fine. It was nothing flashy or whatever. And because I understand the history of West Africa, yeah, that's how it should be. Like, you can't put too much in it as if it's like not really in the times. So I wish there was, when the Oyo, so there was fighting with the Oyo Empire. That's just history. I wish I can see more of the garb of the Oyo representatives or whatever. That would have been nice to see. But other than that, I mean, it's about the kingdom of Dahomey, so you know, it doesn't matter. But there's like a picture of some of the Amazon warriors. They actually went to France, and it was pictured, and you can actually, I'm gonna post it right, or you're gonna see it on screen now. And they went to France. They took the picture, and that's how they look like the real life. It was like 1900, and that was cool to just to see their faces. And yeah, some of them are rough looking. Like it was said. So when I did my history back then, I was trying to understand these Amazonian warriors, and what it was that what I read was these were the women that were too ugly to be the real king's wives. So either they had attitude problems, they was really aggressive, or they just didn't look attractive. So he didn't, so they couldn't have babies, they couldn't be married. They just had to, there was the king's wives, but really the bodyguards. And I did like the wives in the movie. I mean, they were all bad. So it's like, okay, it makes sense. Like all his wives were in the movie was like they were real pretty, and even some of the girls in the female warriors, it was really it was attractive too. But that was one of the things I read. It was no one wanted to make them their wives, so that was interesting how that played out. So that's really the movie. I will say you could obviously go watch it for yourself. I hope I didn't try to get too much, but go watch it for yourself. Come up with your own opinions. Let me know what your thoughts are on the whole movie. If I can give it a grade, like I guess 1 out of 10, and I'll probably get like 7.5. If it was, I don't know. I mean, if it was closer to the historical, it was fine. I'm not even gonna do that. The movie was entertaining. I would say go watch it. There was no cringe moments like that where I was just like, oh man, that doesn't sound right. It seems weird. No, I didn't get that from that. So it was decent. It was good, and I would recommend to go watch it and check it out and have your own thoughts on it. So if you like this review and you appreciate it, and definitely like the video, and do consider subscribing. And I guess I'll talk to you later.